before we continue, I need to declare a conflict of interest. The words left my mouth before I decided to say them. 7 faces turned toward me. The chief medical director's pen stopped mid-signature. Across the table. Ethan Cole's jaw tightened so slightly that only someone who'd known him for years would catch it. I'd known him for years. What kind of conflict? The CMD asked. Ethan's eyes met mine for half a second. In that flicker, I saw something I couldn't name. Regret? Fear? Or just the exhausted recognition of 2 people who'd already destroyed each other once. The personal kind, I said. 6 years ago, there were 7 of us who practically lived together in medical school. We studied together, survived rotations together, complained about residents together. We used to joke we were already running a hospital. We called ourselves the night shift. Ethan wasn't originally living in our apartment, but during final year, he practically moved in. You guys have better Wi-Fi, he said one night, dropping his backpack by the couch. And your fridge actually has food in it. Ethan was easy to be around. Calm. The kind of person who remembered your coffee order and whether you'd eaten that day. Patients loved him. I did too. Rachel less so. Rachel was my girlfriend in med school. The thing about slowly destroying your relationships is that you don't notice it happening. You miss one group dinner because of lab work. Then 2. Then you stop getting invited. You cancel plans with your girlfriend because you're on call. Then she stops making them. You tell your friends you'll catch up later. Then later never comes. I didn't see it. Or maybe I saw it and just didn't care enough to stop it. One night, Marcus knocked on my door. Hey, a few of us are grabbing food. You coming? I glanced at my textbook. Can't. Cardiology exam Monday. You've been studying for 6 days straight. Yeah, and I'm still not ready. He hesitated. You know, you don't have to be perfect at everything, right? I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying not to fail. That's not what this looks like, he said quietly. What does it look like? Like you're choosing a grade over people who actually care about you. I felt something sharp in my chest. That's not fair. Isn't it? He waited. When I didn't respond, he nodded slowly. We'll be at Paolo's if you change your mind. I didn't change my mind. I got a 96 on that exam. I couldn't remember the last time I felt proud of something. Things started shifting after that. Group texts happened without me. Study sessions moved to times I couldn't make. When I walked into the living room one evening, Marcus had apartment listings open on his laptop. You guys moving? I asked. Marcus flinched. Yeah, just looking around. For next year? Yeah. Cool. Where are we thinking? The silence lasted too long. Ethan walked in holding grocery bags. With me, he said. We already signed the lease. I laughed automatically. Wait, what? We didn't know what your plans were after graduation. Marcus said quickly. My plans? I repeated. I've been living with you guys for 3 years. Yeah, but you're never actually here, someone else said from the couch. The words hung in the air. I'm in medical school, I said slowly. We're all in medical school. We're all busy, Ethan said carefully. You guys are seriously doing this? You're cutting me out. You cut yourself out, Marcus said quietly. We're just accepting it. I told myself they were being dramatic. I told myself they'd regret it. I buried myself deeper in finals. Rachel and I had to fight 2 weeks later. We were supposed to go to her sister's birthday dinner. I forgot, not because I was working, because I genuinely forgot. This is who you are now, she said when I finally showed up 3 hours late. I'm sorry. I lost track of time. You lose track of everything that isn't medicine, she said. Do you even remember the last time we talked about something that mattered? Rachel, when's my birthday? I froze. It was last month, she said quietly. You texted me, happy birthday at 11 p.m. That was it. I was on a double shift. I know, you're always on a shift, or studying, or analyzing something, but you're never actually here with me. I'm trying to build a future, I said. For who? She asked. Because it doesn't feel like it includes me. She left that night. I told myself she'd cool off. She didn't. I didn't find out from Rachel. I found out from my own autopsy of our relationship. Little things that didn't make sense suddenly did. Rachel texting during dinner and smiling at her phone in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months. Ethan asking weirdly specific questions about my schedule. The group chat going silent whenever I open it, like I'd walked into a room mid-conversation. When I finally asked her directly, she didn't cry. She looked relieved. I didn't want to hurt you, she said, which is what people say when they've already decided the hurt is worth it. How long? I asked. Does it matter? Yeah, it actually does. She looked at me like I was being difficult. Since March. It was June. March. I repeated. That's when you stopped answering my calls. When you canceled our anniversary dinner. When you told me you couldn't come to my mom's surgery because you had a study group. My stomach dropped. Her surgery went fine. You didn't ask, Rachel said. You just assumed. I didn't have a response to that. Ethan asked, she said quietly. He showed up at the hospital. Brought coffee. Sat with me for 4 hours while they operated. So you slept with him. So I talked to someone who actually listened, she snapped. And yeah, eventually it became more than that. Because he was there, and you weren't. I wanted to be angry. I was angry. But underneath the anger was something worse. The slow, creeping realization that maybe she was right. I couldn't confront Ethan because what I felt was worse than the dirty sting of betrayal. Graduation happened. I barely remember it. Life scattered all of us into different hospitals and different lives. I told myself I moved on. I told myself it didn't matter anymore. And honestly, most days, I believed that until the interview email arrived. 30 minutes notice. Standard hospital chaos. I skimmed the candidate profile while walking to the boardroom. Then I saw the name. Ethan Cole. I actually stopped walking. No, that can't. I muttered to myself. But it was. When I walked into the room, he was already seated. He looked older, sharper, like someone who learned to carry weight without showing it. He looked up and froze. Oh, good. HR said cheerfully. You two know each other. Ethan cleared his throat. Yeah, we went to school together. Same graduating class. I added. Sitting down. The interview started. And he was incredible. Clinical answers precise. Ethical reasoning thoughtful. Emergency protocols flawless. Watching him felt like being reminded of everything he was capable of. And everything I convinced myself didn't matter. Halfway through, the chief medical director asked, tell us about a time you handled professional conflict. Ethan paused. I think. Conflict tests who you are when nobody's watching, he said slowly. He glanced toward me, then away. Sometimes the hardest thing is knowing when to step back from someone who doesn't want help, even when you care about them. Because sometimes staying does more damage than leaving. Something twisted in my chest. But you don't abandon them either, he continued. You just create space and hope they find their way back to themselves. The room was silent. And did they? The CMD asked. Ethan's eyes met mine for just a second. I don't know yet, he said. 2 hours later, the interview ended. He stood near the door like he wanted to speak. I walked past him without stopping. That evening, my phone buzzed. Ethan, I didn't know you'd be on the panel. Another message. I know this is uncomfortable. Then, I'm not asking for anything. I just need you to know I applied here because it's the best trauma program in the region, not because of you. I stared at the screen. Typed, I know. Deleted it. Typed, it doesn't matter. Deleted that too. Then I walked straight to the chief medical director's office. I need to recuse myself from this decision, I said. He leaned back slowly. Because of personal history? Yes. Negative history? I hesitated. Complicated history. Do you believe he's unqualified? No. Unsafe with patients? No. Then why step back? I exhaled slowly. Because I don't trust a version of me that would sit in that room pretending I'm neutral. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. That's unusually honest. Ethan texted again that night. Can we talk? Just 5 minutes. I agreed to meet him at the hospital cafe. He stood when I arrived, then sat back down awkwardly. I didn't come here to apologize, Ethan said. I blinked. What? I mean, I am sorry for how it happened, but I'm not sorry it happened. That landed like a scalpel between ribs. Rachel and I were together for 2 years after you, he continued. We broke up because we wanted different things, not because we regretted being together. And yeah, I lost a group. I lost you. But I didn't lose myself trying to be someone I wasn't. What the hell is that supposed to mean? You were drowning, he said quietly. In med school, in Rachel, in trying to be perfect at everything. And instead of asking for help, you just pulled away from all of us. So you fucked my girlfriend. So I fell in love with someone who was also lonely. I wanted to hit him. I wanted him to be wrong. He wasn't entirely wrong. You don't get to rewrite history, I said. You don't get to make this my fault. It's not about fault, Ethan said. It's about what actually happened. And what actually happened is that you disappeared long before we moved out. Long before Rachel and I got together. I was trying to survive medical school. We all were, he said. But most of us didn't treat the people who cared about us like collateral damage. Silence stretched between us. Rachel reached out to you, I said finally, after her mom's surgery. She told me. Yeah. Did you go there planning to? No, Ethan said immediately. I went because she was scared and alone. And you should have been there. But you weren't. I had a study group, he finished. I know, she told me. And I remember thinking, what kind of study group is more important than someone you supposedly love? I didn't have an answer. I'm not the villain here, Ethan said quietly. And neither are you. We were all just trying to survive. Some of us tried together. You tried alone. 3 days later, Ethan got the job. 2 weeks later, we met again. Not in a boardroom. In the trauma bay. 5 victims from a highway collision arrived simultaneously. I need airway here, Ethan shouted. For 40 minutes, we worked side by side. Pressures dropping. Prep for thoracotomy. Clamp ready. On 3. The patient survived. Barely, but survived. Afterward, we stood outside removing gloves. You're still one of the best doctors I know. Ethan said, that's professional respect. I replied, don't confuse it with anything else. 3 weeks later, Ethan saved a kid's life in the ER while I was stuck in an admin meeting about supply chain logistics. I heard about it secondhand. The nurses said he was incredible. Calm. Precise. Exactly the kind of doctor you'd want in a crisis. I didn't feel proud. I felt tired. That night, he texted me. HR offered me the permanent position. I stared at the message. Typed, congratulations. Deleted it. Typed, you earned it. Deleted that too. Finally sent. Good. He replied immediately. We okay? I left him on read. The next morning, I saw him in the hallway. He nodded. I nodded back. And we kept walking. Later that week, someone from the old group, Marcus, sent me a message. Heard you and Ethan are working together. That must be weird. I typed back. Yeah. I stare at my phone, and I think maybe I wasn't who I thought I was back then. Marcus replied immediately. None of us were. Then, for what it's worth, we all handled it badly. You disappeared. We let you. Nobody was a hero in that story. I read it 3 times. Does that make it better or worse? I typed, I don't know. Marcus sent back. Does it? That night, I sat alone in my office finishing charts, and I kept thinking about one question. If Ethan hadn't shown up at that interview, if we hadn't been forced to work together, if I'd never had to face the person I was 6 years ago, would I have ever asked myself if maybe, just maybe, I was the one who walked away first? I honestly don't know, because sometimes the hardest surgery isn't on a patient. It's on the story you've been telling yourself about who you are, and whether you're ready to let the truth bleed through. If you enjoy stories about what really happens behind hospital doors, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories from behind the scrub stories.